Hi guys, it's Josh, your host from Recovery Talks 24/7. I hope everyone's keeping well, and thank you so much for everyone that's all my followers and everyone that's been listening to my podcast so far. We've had some amazing stories that have been on my podcast. People that have gone from addiction, people that have suffered with mental health. It's just been absolutely amazing. So I really do appreciate everybody's support. Today we are sponsored by the Money Wellness. They are an amazing debt recovery company, and they help you get debt free. They've really supported me through all of my debt issues. And I really did struggle. And I was in massive amounts of debt. And I reached out to them. I was very nervous at first. But once I reached out to them, they were absolutely amazing. And I highly recommend to anybody that is struggling with debt to get in contact with Money Wellness. You can find them on Google, really easy. Or if you do want to get in contact with them, the contact details are on the podcast show. And just give them a call. And honestly, it will completely change your life. So today, guys, we've got another amazing interview that I'm going to be having with a gentleman. His name's called Joe, and he's the programs manager for the Amy Winehouse Foundation. And I've been speaking to Joe before, and I've been telling him every time we've emailed, is that I've been so excited to get him on here to have a chat with him, hear his story, and also just hear about the Amy Winehouse Foundation. Now, Amy Winehouse was one of my idols. I absolutely adored her, and just to see what Joe does for this work and obviously see what Amy Winehouse's legacy is doing for supporting other people is absolutely amazing. So I can't wait to get this ball rolling. So without further ado, Joe, just how are you doing today? You okay?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you, mate. Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Josh. Same as you, by the way. I just want to echo that. I've been really excited about this. Look forward to it. Thank you so much for having me and I suppose us on. Yeah, I'm really well. Just looking forward to it. Yeah.
Awesome. No, it's amazing to have you on here, Joe, and I really appreciate you giving me your time today, because I know you are a busy man. Um, so, Joe, would you be able to kind of share a bit about yourself? So we know you're a programs manager in this job, which we will get to later on down the line. But I'd just love to know, and my listeners would love to know a little bit about yourself, a bit about your story as well, because I did know you did explain to me before you did suffer with some form of an addiction problem, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'm yeah, hello everyone as well, all the listeners. Yeah, so I'm Joe. I'm 34 years old. I'm from North East London. Um, yeah, I did have I suppose addiction issues when I was quite young, really. But then I was fortunate to get into recovery quite young as well. So it worked out okay. But yeah, I'm originally from North East London. I say I come from a pretty normal, whatever that is, but stable family. My dad is a London black cab driver. My mum was a teaching assistant in a school. Both my parents are from like inner city London. Yeah, they're from like Clerkenwell, Angel, Islington, that part of North London. Two council estate kids. They, funny enough, literally lived opposite each other in different council estates. They grew up in a much more, I suppose, like tougher era and area. It was quite harsh. There was, I think it was in my dad's family. They didn't even have a toilet in their flat. It was a toilet shared outside with the flat next door on the landing. So he kind of grew up in a quite harsh environment. My mum's family weren't much different. It was a very poor time, a very poor area. But two amazing parents. They worked very hard to kind of, I suppose, enhance their lives and give them the best opportunities for themselves to like raise a family and stuff. But yeah, they grew up in a quite harsh environment. They're both brilliant parents. My mum, I'd say, is a lot more naturally kind of loving or affectionate. I wouldn't say loving, more affectionate. Really, is able to give them cuddles and them kisses and stuff like that. Talk about emotions. Whereas my dad was much more at the time a stereotypical kind of, I want to use the word like old school geezer sort of mentality where it'd be, no, we're all right, son, come on, don't cry, we're big, we're strong, we're all right. And he didn't mean nothing bad by it. It's just what he knew. He didn't have the tools when he was younger. But how he did show his love and support was always by helping me and my two sisters with anything. We was always provided for. We never went without anything. Always had food in the fridge, a roof over our head. We was very lucky like that. So parents were really loving. But my dad was the one, I suppose, when I was really young, that I really idolised. He was the one that Because I saw him as this big, strong, tough man. I'll be really honest with you, and that's what I idolised. He seemed like a hero to me. You know, like when he used to be a kid and watching the films and he watched like Superman or something. That's kind of the similar feelings I had with my dad. I saw him, he's always laughing, always joking. He was a really happy man. He'd be the one at family parties. He'd be the charismatic one, telling stories. Everyone would be gravitating around him and laughing at his stories. You know, he's a London black cab driver, so he had all these crazy stories anyway, making everyone laugh. And he just seems to be really happy and content. And I saw that as a really, really young kid and thought, man, I want to be like him. Do you know what I mean? I really, really want to be like him. And it was also a similar feeling when I was going to school. I always remember when I was going to school, my schools felt like they were split into a couple of groups. You know, it was either the clever crowd or the cool crowd. And I'm not saying that was how it was, but that was definitely my perspective then. That's definitely how kind of I interpreted it. And the ones that were, I suppose, seem to be really well liked, and I want to use the word popular, like the popular ones, seem to be the charismatic ones, the funny ones, the one that laughing, the ones that were joking. Everyone seemed to want to hang around them. So the similarities were there between them and my dad. And I just thought, well, I want to be like them, you know, because they was always happy and like joking. A bit of class clowns, not massively like bad kids at all, just more the jokers. And it seems to be all the boys wanting to hang around them, all the girls seemed to fancy them. And that feeling that I interpreted they had of feeling good was, well, that's what I want. I don't know how they felt, but as a young kid, I thought, oh, they feel great. Look, they're laughing, they're joking. I want to be like them. I want to be well liked. So I can see from a really early age that kind of fear of worrying about what people thought about you was there from a really, really young age. I was always caring about what people thought about me. But then when I'm with the clever kids, they might be talking about subjects, and I always say this, Josh, right? They've been talking about subjects that might be going over my head. You know, if you're around people and they seem to be talking about politics or something, and you've got no idea what they're talking about, but you don't want to tell them that. So they might be talking, like we just had the recent elections not too long ago, wasn't it? And you might be talking with people, and they'll be talking, well, Conservatives should do this, or Labour should do this, or this one should do that, whatever party it is. And you might not have a clue what they're talking about, but instead of saying, I don't know, you just sit there and nod, and you're like, that's right, that's right. Because as long as you think, as long as you think I know what I'm talking about, that's enough for me. If you ask me a question and catch me out, and then I ain't got a clue, so please don't ask me the question. As long as you can hear me nodding and doing, and then you know I'm clever, right? But I'm with the cool ones, and I want to be the laughing one. I want to be the joker, the class clown, because then you'll like me. But if anyone had asked me, do you care what people think about you? My answer would have been, no, I don't care what anyone thinks. And the irony in that is because I cared so much about what you think, I can't tell you I care what people think. And I liken it to social media now. And this is just me personally, right? I haven't had social media for about 12 years, right? And it's been one of the best things I've ever done. One, for my personal life, and two, I suppose, for recovery as well. But I look at young people with social media now, and how many of them post photos and videos? And if they had, because I do this test with them in schools, which we'll get into with my work a little bit later on, but I say to them, let's say they had, like, I don't know, 3 million views on a video. They might have got 3 million views on a TikTok video. I say, let's say you only had 2 likes. How would you feel? All of them. It's embarrassing. I feel ugly. I delete it. I'm like, why would you delete it? Like, what's embarrassing? I'm like, okay. I'm like, so you care what people think about you? All of them go, no, I don't care. I'm like, but you just said you'd remove the photo. They go, yeah. I'm like, well, if you don't care what people think, why would you remove the photo? And then they're like, oh yeah, well, I do care what people think. I'm like, right. And I'm go, that for me, self-esteem right there. Because you're trying to get your self-esteem, and that's the whole point, from what other people think about us. Whether it be a comment, whether it be a like, whether it be sharing my video, whatever it might be. I'm like, so if I only get a few likes on a video, that makes me want to feel ugly, embarrassed, I want to delete it. So I'm giving other people the power to change the way I feel. I didn't know any of this stuff then, but I know it now. So when I was a kid, I just felt totally insecure. I didn't feel good enough. Like I said, I felt stupid with comparing myself to the clever ones. I felt not as cool, as funny as the cool ones. So whichever group I'm in, I didn't feel good enough. And that was from a really, really young age. It just kind of carried on, and all the way through my primary school. And I remember even getting a bit older, you know, I was decent at football. I was at a football academy. But it was a similar thing with that. When I was playing football, I felt like, well, if I miss a shot, or if I miss a goal, if I lay a pass, they're all going to think I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be here. So it was always, again, fear of being judged, fear of what the people think about me. And I think a lot of us have those insecurities. It can get better over time, but they can still crop up every now and then. So whether I was at school or football, I cared so much about what people thought. But I weren't talking to anyone. I like to describe it for me, Josh, is I felt like I was an extroverted introvert. And on the outside, I'm showing you that I'm cool, I'm funny, I'm a class clown, I'm a joker. But inside, I really, really care what people think, and I'm scared, and I'm shy, and I'm nervous. But I don't want you to know that. So if I put on some fake mask and act that I'm big and strong and tough on the outside, that will suppress all those emotions. It'll make them go away. I will think you will think of me that I'm not that shy, introverted one. And really, it was actually doing the opposite. It was making it worse. Instead of embracing my emotions, being like, yeah, I feel a bit nervous, or talking to someone about something, I find where you try and fake that and cover that up, it actually heightens it so much because you're becoming a bit of a fraud. You're becoming a bit of a fake, to use those kinds of words, not in a bad way, but about myself, because I'm just trying to mask what other people see of me. Well, that makes me more anxious. That makes me more nervous because I can't own it. I can't own my emotion. So from a really young age, I was really, really struggling, and this carried on all the way to my primary school. And I kind of give this one final analogy about it, really. But I remember being in our class, and our teacher said to us all, "Well, let's go out for break. And when you come back, you need to sit in the same chairs to carry on with like the activity we was doing." Went out for break, came back, and I went to sit in my seat. And my friend Andrew was sitting in it. And I just said to him, "My mate, Miss said we've got to sit in the same chair." And he just done this little hand gesture where he just went, sit somewhere else. Just kind of dismissed it with his hand. He went, sit somewhere else. And I always say this, Josh, I mean, to ask people, right, has anyone ever fallen over before, right? And I'm assuming all of us has tripped over before, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we know that feeling. Don't know about you, but when you trip up, right, you do that little scan and you have a little look around the room with your eyes to see if anyone's seen you trip, yeah? And you get away with it. It feels all right. But when you trip over in front of someone else and you do that little scan with your eyes and look around the room and you spot someone who's seen you, you feel embarrassed. You're like, oh no, they've seen me trip, they've seen me fall, they're laughing. That feeling was how the hand gesture dismissal felt when he's done that. Because three of my friends were on the table and they laughed. And I thought, they're all laughing at me. They're all taking a mick. I've been mugged off. I didn't say that terminology then because I was 11. I didn't know it. But no, I've been mugged off. I've been embarrassed, all laughing at me. So again, what came up for me? Fear. Fear I'm not good enough. Fear you're taking a mick. Fear being embarrassed. So based on that fear, I decided at that time to like pull him up out of the chair, push him, punch him, because I felt so scared about what they thought about me. And I have to really, I suppose, smash home that feeling of fear so people grasp it, because I see it now where, if you see people in cars and they get angry when someone's cut them up, or they get angry if someone's almost hit their car, or it's like they felt fear they was going to get hurt. They felt fear their car was going to get damaged. They felt fear they've been embarrassed or whatever. I mean, I don't think anger, not in all cases, but anger is just anger. I think it comes from fear. And a lot of that is, like I said, fear I'm going to lose something, fear I'm going to not get something, fear of what I've been interpreted like, how people see me, how people view me. And that's how that feeling was. And you know what? It didn't even work because my friends weren't happy. They was really upset. He was really upset. I got suspended from school for a week and my parents were obviously concerned. And when I came back to school, I had to have a meeting with my head teacher and the parents. Anyway, this meeting went on really, really long and well late into my first lesson. And I know everyone at some point has been late to a lesson or a meeting or something before. So we know that feeling. When you walk into that thing late, and I always say to people, it's like, remember one of them quiet lessons you had at school? Proper quiet, where you peer through the window, no one's talking, right? They've all just got their heads down doing their work, right? And you peer through and you see that and you think, I've got to disturb this. And you pull that handle down, you turn that doorknob, right? And the door creaks. What's the first thing everyone does? Everyone's head just turns around and go bang. Everyone just looks at you. Everyone just stares at you. So what I'm getting at, when you're like a kid and everything I've just described is that self-consciousness, fear, everyone's looking at me, everyone thinks I'm not clever enough, everyone thinks this. No one, by the way, said any of them things. No one said any of them things ever at all, right? That was my insecurities. What I know they're my insecurities, but because I feel them, I think everyone else can see that through me. So based on that fear, right, I'm walking across that room, I'm getting really, really scared. I'm keeping my head down. I'm thinking everyone's staring at me. Probably two people were looking at me. But I'll be the world revolves around Joe, doesn't it? I'm so special and important when everyone's talking about me. It's based on fear. So that's kind of how I was really, really young. And I carried that on all into my secondary school. And I won't go through it year by year, but it was just getting worse. I was getting more anxious, more nervous. But on the outside, it was still acting like I'm big and strong and tough and almost borderline cocky, arrogant in a way. But it was much more the opposite. So much more the opposite. I was petrified of what people thought about me. And around about 14, all my friends started to go out. And obviously, Josh, I know you know, but when we're saying going out at 14, you weren't going pubs or clubs or bars. You was going over the local parks, or you was walking the street, standing on the street corner. Stuff at the time I thought was so glamorous. Do you know what I mean? If anyone asked me now on a Friday night, do you want to go and stand on the street corner or go and stand in a muddy field? I'd be like, no, you know what, mate? Like I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? I want to probably have a bath with an incense and a candle burning at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Go to bed really early after like watching a Netflix film or something, and then get into the gym early on the Saturday morning. That's my perfect Friday night, right? Back then, I hated coming to school on a Monday morning and everyone talking about what they'd done on a Friday. Where they're like, oh, this one said this one said that, or this one kissed that one, or this one. I hated that. We call it FOMO now. Yeah, the fear of missing out. We didn't have a tagline for it then, was it? You just felt like you was missing out.
Yeah.
So what did that do? That maybe enhanced that feeling of not being good enough, not knowing what's going on, fear of what people think about me because I'm not going out. So I started to go out with my friends. And yeah, that's what we was doing, going over local parks and stuff. And I remember I got taught about peer pressure many years ago, where someone at school was saying like peer pressure is someone saying, here's this. If you don't take it, I'm not going to be your friend, right? Yeah, that's a form of peer pressure. But it's, for me, one of the most basic examples, right? No one ever said to us, peer pressure can just be a feeling where you feel like you have to fit in and conform with other people because what you're going to feel like if you don't. No one explained to me it can just be an emotion. So when all my friends were drinking on these Friday nights, I remember they was offering me some, right? And what came up for me was that feeling of what are they going to think? Are they going to take the mick? Are they going to make fun of me? If I don't have a drink. So even though I was scared about drinking, I was more scared about what they thought. So I'm going to be honest about all my experiences, right? But that night I got drunk. From what I can remember, it was the most, I suppose, almost important feeling I had that I could remember, because everything that I was feeling as a young kid, it took away the anxiety, it took away the nerves, it took away that thought process about what do people think. It shut that little voice up in my head that said I weren't good enough, because I never felt good enough for anything. I didn't feel funny enough, good looking enough, clever enough. I didn't feel enough at all. When I had a drink, it took all that away. I felt that little boy that was putting on a mask every single day at school. When I had a drink, I didn't have to put on a mask on. It came on naturally. That's how it felt for me. So I learned from that night. I felt this is amazing. So every weekend, me and my friends just going out and getting drunk. Lying to my parents about where I was going, just saying I'm going around a friend's house. And yeah, I did initially, but then we went out and had like sleepovers around my mate's house and stuff. I'd just come home very late and just pretending we were somewhere else. So lying from a really, really early age. And that carried on. And I remember I think it was still 14, maybe 15. My friend, he had an older brother, and him and his mates were smoking weed. So I suppose we was around that. And it was a similar one with the alcohol. They had offered us some. And I think from what I can remember, a few of my friends said yeah, but a couple said no. Right. Now that's the important bit for me there, because the ones that said no, we didn't judge them. We don't care. They can do what they want. They're our mates, regardless. But yeah, when it comes around to me again, oh yeah, I'm so especially important, and that fear kicks in. What are you going to think of me? So I thought I better smoke the weed, and it was similar to the alcohol though. It took away the anxiety. I felt better. I felt calm. I felt happier. That mask come back on again. So I'm learning alcohol and weed is changing the way I felt. So we was just doing this every single week, and then things escalated from like 15 onwards, and we was taking like class A's and like coke and ketamine and ecstasy and stuff, and then we did get a bit older at 16 and started going to some clubs and bars and pubs and things like that. And I would say at the time I did have some good experiences. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. I did. But I also think I was looking back at it through sort of rose-tinted glasses, because it weren't as good as I thought it was. It weren't glamorous at all. I weren't going like really nice areas. I weren't in the south of France. Do you know what I mean? It was just in some proper standard pub,
Yeah.
or like some standard club. It weren't just because I'm dancing on a podium in a club. Like I ain't some sort of A-list celebrity. Do you know what I mean? It was just some proper standard thing. But at 18, from a really early age, I'd say that's where already the drugs stopped working. Like I suppose I had 4 decent years, right? And I know when I say the drugs stopped working, what I mean by that. But in case there's any listeners that don't, what I mean is if I drink or take drugs now, they will still work. I would get drunk, I would get high, but they wouldn't take that pain away no more. They wouldn't shut that voice up. They wouldn't take away the anxiety. If anything, it's making it worse. Well, because I knew when I felt bad, I've got a solution, which is to drink and take drugs. I'm like, just drink and take my drugs. It will take it away. And it weren't. it was getting worse. I'm like some little hamster going around in a hamster wheel, just going round and round and round, trying to take away that pain. And still on the outside, I'm pretending I'm all right. I'm still on pretending I'm all right. Work was getting affected by it. I was working at 18 and I was either turning up too late for work, making excuses. I was getting snappy with everyone. Relationships with people at work or like my family. One of my sisters, there was a period where we weren't talking to each other because I was just so volatile with my emotions. I was so up and down. It would either be unhappy, it'd be angry, it'd be aggressive. And it was always everyone else's fault, It was never my fault. If anyone just done that, if you done what I wanted you to do, if you didn't say this to me, if you didn't do that, oh, right, so it's everyone else, yeah? It's not me. I had no responsibility, no accountability. And I'd be so emotionally manipulative because I used to say this thing all the time. I'd be like, if you knew what I'd been through, if you known what I'd seen, if you'd done what I'd done, then you'd understand. And people would say to me, what you been through? Tell me. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, lovely. So just emotionally manipulate people to feel sorry for you. And then they offer to listen and you go, don't worry about it. I was so emotionally manipulative. And then I was acting like some sort of soldier returning from war. Like, don't worry though, I'll be all right. I'm strong. I'll get through it. Oh, so now I'm emotionally manipulating them again to think good of me. Like I'm some big, strong man. Like, it was so up and down. But it was always genuinely wanting to make people feel sorry for me because then you don't have to feel angry with me. And it weren't my fault. It was everyone else's fault. So that period of time, I was really struggling. And then I remember it was about 19. My friends booked a holiday to Cancun in Mexico. And anyway, I went. It was meant to be this lovely kind of 5-star hotel and blah, blah, blah. And I remember when we got there, one of the first things we noticed was getting in some cabs. And the cab drivers, before they was asking, where do we want to go? A lot of them, one of the first questions they was actually asking was, you're up, boys, do you want any drugs? And I remember my mates were just experimenting. They didn't really do anything at the time. And they were saying, like, no, we're fine. And I'm sitting there in a cab like, no, we ain't. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're not fine. Like, we're really not. Because it'd gone past quite a while ago, the point of having fun at that point. And it was a necessity. I didn't know I was addicted, to be honest with you. I had maybe thoughts about it, but then I started thinking, no, I'm too young. I can't be. Like, I still go to work. I pay bills. Drug addicts don't do that. The stereotypical version, I thought it would be someone homeless or something like that, where now I know it can be absolutely anyone. It can be absolutely anyone, but I didn't know any of that. So I've got this like experience now that these cab drivers are offering this, so I can go and get it whenever I want. But I was obviously still concerned about, well, I can't let my friends know. So I was waking up most mornings and I was drinking from whatever, silly o'clock in the morning, right? And my friends are just acting like I'm mad. They're like, oh, he's crazy. They're ringing each other. Oh, he started early. Because on the outside, I was still showing them that I'm laughing, I'm joking, and they were just thinking I'm wild and I'm crazy because that's what I'm projecting to them. So they didn't realise how bad it was because I'm not letting them know how bad it was. So I'm just acting like I'm all right. And I'm putting on that front where I'm looking, like I'm just, go out with me and it'll be crazy. You don't know what happens. It's so good for the ego. But it was also crushing my self-esteem because really that's not who I am. And I feel so awful because I'm lying to everyone. I'm getting angry, lying to some girlfriends I had at the time, manipulating. Mum's petrified for me. So I've got all these horrible emotions that I'm feeling, the guilt, shame, remorse. So my solution was, we'll just drink and take more drugs. And I remember there was this cab driver. I remember this cab driver offered it. So there was one night we was in a hotel room and we invited a lot of people there. So I thought my friends won't know I'm gone. I thought I can slip down to the hotel and ask some random driver. And I said to him, can you go and get me some stuff? And he was like, yeah, jump in the cab. We'll be 10 minutes. And he was taking me out of Cancun, right? And there was no tourists. There was no bright lights. I say taking me out. It's probably taking me to some suburb or something. But I felt petrified. I'm 19 years old thinking I'm some big, strong man from northeast London who knows what goes on in the world. And the people I'm passing on the street corners where there was no lamppost or nothing, I was scared. I was so scared. What it looked like I was going past cartel members or something, right? And I probably weren't, but I'm so scared, and I'm in a country I don't know, and I'm well out of my depth. And he dropped me on the street corner, and remember he said I'll be back in 10 minutes, right? And I just wanted my mum. I just wanted my mum. Do you know what I mean? And I realised how much at that point, and many years later, basically I'm some scared, petrified little boy who just wants everyone to love him and wants to cuddle, right? But I thought, I can't go because I need my drugs. Just stay on this corner. So it shows me what kind of positions we put ourselves in and predicaments we get in just because I need drugs. So these people that have passed are coming closer and closer towards me. And I'm honestly, Josh, thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is it. I'm going to die. Like, I'm actually going to die. But again, still standing there because I'm more scared about not having my drugs. All right. And by the way, they might have been really lovely people. I don't know, but it didn't look like that. I was being judgmental, of course. And then my cab driver pulled up, and I felt a lot of relief. Yeah, and a lot of the relief was I'm safe. Of course it was. But being really honest, most of the relief was, phew, now I've got my gear, now I've got my drugs, now I'll be all right. And I look back now, and that's actually, I can say it with a hint of smile because I'm in recovery and I get it. But it's very sad when I actually look at it that I'm actually in that position, and the only thing that made me feel content and relief was, now I'll be all right, now I've got my gear. And he took me back to my hotel, and I'd been gone ages, apparently. I hadn't been gone 10 minutes. So all my friends were worried. They were walking around the hotel looking for me. And it was one of them ones where, where you have an argument, even though you know you're in the wrong. But if you think, if I just shout and scream, you're going to leave me alone. And that's exactly really what I want. So I'm having a massive argument, pretending I'm angry with my mates, and really I'm not. They leave me alone, which is what I wanted. And really, I'm going back to my hotel like, well done, that worked out, right? I'll just deal with that argument tomorrow. And this honestly sums up my using. I was sitting in my hotel room in the pitch black, so I'm so paranoid that if the lights are on, someone can see into my room, know what I'm doing. I was watching the TV on volume 1, because any louder than that, you're going to hear the TV. I'm paranoid someone can hear the TV, know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was watching Mission Impossible 3 in Spanish with French subtitles, so I didn't have a clue what was going on. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there and I think, I paid money to be in that state. And I remember we was on the 9th floor, we was on the beach, our hotel. And I remember hearing this party boat that was going along the beach. And I could hear the music and the laughter. And I just had this clarity moment where I thought, that's what I thought I was doing. I thought I was kind of living the dream, having a nice, fun time. And I'm in a hotel room on my own, and I don't want to be around no one. And no one wants to be around me either. And I had a phone call that night from an ex-girlfriend who called me up. She was in England. We was together at the time, and she said how she'd had a kiss with some other guy, and she'd been very honest with me. And I just felt so angry. I felt so angry, right? And I was shouting at her, screaming at her. It used to make me feel better to make other people feel bad. Rather than break down in tears and say, I need help, I'm struggling, I really need help, and I'm sorry. Because the reason she probably done that was because I was such an horrible boyfriend. But instead of going, you know what, I've been really bad to you and I don't blame you, what had actually come out was, oh, I can't believe you've done that. And you've done, yeah, I didn't mention I stole her money. I didn't mention I drunk drive her car. I didn't mention I cheated on her. No, don't own that. Don't own any of that stuff. Make it about what she's done to you. So I shouted and screamed, put the phone down. And that's where I forget, right? That's where I forget the rest of the night. And apparently my friends came in and they found me on the balcony. And I was saying I wanted to kill myself. I don't remember any of that, right? I don't remember any of that bit. Apparently they'd spoken to my parents and they'd bought me a flight home for the next day or the day after that. And then when I remember speaking to my mum, she was just so worried and like, just get home. And it's one of them ones where I'm sober, I can have this clarity moment. I'm like, this ain't good. This is bad. But you know what? Did it stop me? No, I got drunk the next day. I'm drinking at the airport because I can't deal with the emotion of it. And I came back to England, and it just went on like that for about another year, up and down, up and down. And then a friend of mine asked me to go and watch a game of football with him at a pub, and I went. Anyway, this guy walks in who my friend knew, and he sat down with us, and he started talking about his life, and I could relate to every single thing. I could relate to every single thing he was saying: his drug use, his mental health, his emotions, what he'd done, certain things that he'd experienced. And he was like, mate, I'm 3 years clean. I'm 3 years clean. And I was like, right. And I'm thinking, how's he done this, right? And he went to want my number. To be really honest, I want to no, like, who are you? Like, I don't want your number. But I didn't say that because, again, I'm worried about what he thinks of me. So the fear kicks in. I want to look like So I took his number, but I thought, I'm never going to call you. He rang me quite a few times. I never answered. But one week, I don't know why, I just picked the phone up. And he's like, look, I'm going to this place tonight where I went to get help years ago. Do you want to come? And I just said, yeah. And I met him at this venue. And it was when I'm there that I'm like, okay, so what is this place? And he said, like, it's these meetings where people go to. And they're all clean, they're all sober. And he went, just come in. And I thought, oh, this is embarrassing, you know. I thought, like, one of these things that I see on TV where everyone's sitting around in a circle, introducing themselves like, hi, my name's an addict. But I thought, oh, it's embarrassing. Anyway, I went in, every single person was sitting around in a circle, introducing themselves like that. And to be honest with you, Josh, I just thought this is embarrassing. But I thought I can't be rude and leave because it's gonna look even ruder for them. So I thought I'll just stay for the hour and a half. I'll never have to come back again. And this woman opened her mouth and she went, I'm 7 years clean and sober. She went, me and my husband have had the world's best marriage for 7 years. And I'm thinking, how has she done this? And then someone went, yeah, I'm 25 years. And someone went, I'm 25 days. Someone was like, yeah, I'm 7 days, I'm 7 weeks. I'm like, all these variation of time. I remember just sitting there like, how have they done that? And they was going like, Joe, it's 1 day at a time. It's all about 1 day at a time. I was 19, right? And I'm thinking, 1 day at a time. Okay. I was like, well, what about my 21st birthday? Can I have a drink on my 21st birthday? They're like, mate, that's 2 years away, innit? Let's do 1 day at a time. I'm like, all right, 1 day at a time. What about when I get married? Can I have a drink on my wedding? They're like, mate, your girlfriend just dumped you, innit? Like, do you know what I mean? They're like, let's deal with that when you're actually in a relationship. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It took me a few years, right? It was so many ups and downs. I didn't want to do what they suggested. I still wanted to do things my own way. I struggled to get honest about emotions. I struggled to really look at myself and reflect on myself and my own behaviours. I was still doing the blame game. I wanted it to be everyone else's fault. I didn't like what they was doing. I was quite resistant towards it. But then, to be really honest with you, after being in recovery 3 years, doing meetings at this time, relapsing all the time, and the people that was around me were getting longer term, getting happier, getting their lives back on track, you're kind of sitting in these meetings going, well, they must be doing something right. They must be doing something right, because I'd just be stupid to not be able to look what's in front of me and see that as real evidence. So I started doing what they were suggested, and that was about 12 years ago. And it weren't easy. Of course it isn't. It's been the best decision I've ever made. It's been the best decision I've ever made, right? Because I'm trying to look at the date. Yeah, so it's August, right? So the 14th of July, I was 12 years clean and sober, right? Like I said, I'm 34 now. So I got clean very young, but I got addicted when I was very young. So it worked out right that I suppose my addiction was sped up. But luckily, I met people who put me in touch with recovery, and I was able to get this young. But obviously that had its own, I suppose, problems, because I thought, well, I'm young, I'm 22. Like, what? Am I never meant to go to a restaurant again? Am I never meant to go on a date again? Like, what's a girl going to think of me if I don't have a drink? And, they're going to judge me and blah, blah, blah. I had all these doubts, all these worries, all these fears. And then I realised, well, after people telling me and supporting me, no one really cares. No one really cares. And actually, I'm healthier, I'm far happier. That sister that didn't want to talk to me is back in my life. I've gone back to everyone in my life. I made amends to everyone. Funny enough, my final amends overdone was only a few months ago. So even though I've been in recovery 15 years and clean and sober 12, my final amends was only done a few months ago to my old football manager, my football coach. And he was lovely, and he was brilliant, and he was amazing. Not everyone's experience is that. So I've got to understand that some people aren't, but mine have always been fortunately very, very good. And my sister that didn't want to talk to me, she actually asked me to be a groomsman at her wedding when she got married like 9 or 10 years ago. And it was amazing, because when she used to live in Australia, and when we was out there, my other sister, well, just before actually, I told the family that she was pregnant. Her and her partner was going to have a baby. So I remember being at the front of my sister's wedding, and I'm watching my sister Amy, who's the bridesmaid, come down the aisle, and I just started getting so emotional, man. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to be an uncle. You're going to be an uncle. Right. And I started feeling like, don't cry, man. Don't cry. In my head, I'm like, don't cry. Everyone's going to be seeing you crying. Right. And I thought my dad, right. I thought, my dad's a geezer, innit? He ain't going to be crying. Right. Look at him for that support. I turned and looked at him. He was crying his eyes out. Right. He was absolutely priceless. And then my sister Sam comes down the aisle in a beautiful white dress, absolutely stunning. And the tears are just flowing from my face, right? But the hyperventilating tears, Josh, where you can't speak. I was like that, right? I was in pieces. And I just had this moment, right? I was like, oh no, everyone can see you crying. And then I had the other moment. So what? So what? And that's what recovery gave me. So what? So my sister lives 9,000 miles away. My other sister, I'm going to be an uncle to her kid. And the most important thing I care about is someone can see me crying. It might be more abnormal if I weren't emotional. It'd be more abnormal for one of them. What am I trying to suppress my emotions for? And that's what recovery is giving me. So what? So what? I should embrace my emotions rather than try and pretend I haven't got them or suppress them, caring what people think. I don't care what people think. Sometimes I do, but so what? So what? That's the thought that recovery is giving me now. So what? The world ain't going to end. No one's going to think I'm a bad person. If actually they're going to think how amazing this guy is in touch with his emotion. So this is what recovery is giving me. My sister here, she's now had 2 amazing, beautiful boys. I've got 2 fantastic nephews with her. My sister that was abroad, she moved back to England last year, and she's got her son. So I've got another amazing, beautiful nephew with her. So I've now got, everyone is here in this country. It's amazing. I can be a good uncle, be a good brother, good son. But that's all right, me saying that. I know you can't ask them, but I would say to people, like, ask my sisters, ask my family, ask my partner how I am. Because most of the time, I'd say I'm really good, but don't mean I don't have moments. Don't have moments where I don't get snappy or irritable or irritated. Of course, I have my moments all the time, all the time. But I just try and put them right if I do something wrong, or look at why was I irritable. Is it because I felt a bit stressed, a bit nervous, a bit scared? Work on myself rather than just blaming everyone. Because I still want to blame people. That still comes up, but it's because that one done that. No, it's not. It's how I interpret it. Final thing, I suppose, I'll end on about a bit of a background to me, Josh, is really. I'd personally never really thought I'd ever be able to have a relationship or even a healthy one, because I didn't have one with myself. And I remember, when I come into recovery, I really wanted to get well. Like I really wanted to get well after the few years of relapsing. So after that, I thought, no, I really want to do this. So I thought, I've made this commitment to myself. I don't know how long, but I'm just going to stay single. Like I don't want a date. I don't want to be with anyone. I just want to get well because I was so unwell. And I think I didn't even have a date for nearly 2 years because I just wanted to work on me. And I'm not saying that's for everyone, that's just for me. I just wanted to get well for me. And initially when I was dating, that's when I said to you earlier, I'm like, well, what are they going to think if I'm in a restaurant? I'm not having a drink. I didn't want to sit there in a restaurant and go, by the way, the reason I don't drink is I'm a drug addict. Do you know what I mean? Because that might put them off. But I went through all these experiences. And about 3 and a bit years ago, I met my partner. And she, I know I'm going to be biased, of course I'm biased, but she is the most beautiful, stunning and kindest, innocent, beautiful angel I've ever met in my life. Like she's just amazing. She is honestly the kind of person I've always wanted to be with, right? I've always wanted to be with. And what's so amazing is sometimes that little self-worth in me can still creep up. And she will actually say to me, I'm so lucky to have you. And my mind's like, really? Right? But when someone actually says that, you're like, oh my God, like she genuinely feels, she goes, Joe, she's like, you helped me so much with like my confidence with this, with that. She's not in recovery. She has a drink every now and then. And I'm glad she does. Because to be honest with you, for me, I've got a healthy relationship and she's got a healthy relationship with her whole life. She has one drink, that's her done. She just wants to be normal and enjoy it. She doesn't like the feeling of being drunk or tipsy, right? That sounds abnormal to me. I used to love that feeling of getting out of my head, getting out of my nut. And the reason I wanted to be out of my nut is because I didn't want to be in it. She don't like that. Anyway, I took her to Paris. And even this is what's amazing, right? Because I'm in a position now, we spoke before this, I can go on holidays. I can actually save money to be able to go on holiday. How amazing is that? I never had no money. I was always in debt, like you were saying at the beginning. I was always in debt, always owed people money. I can actually save and go on holiday now. So I took her to Paris well over a year and a half ago as just like a surprise Christmas present. And I remember she went to work and she came back and she said, I told the girls we were at work that I'm going to Paris and they all think you're going to propose to me. And then a week after that, it was, oh yeah, I told this other girl at work, she thinks we're getting engaged because, it's Paris, it's meant to be romantic. And then like a week after that, she was like, yeah, I went for brunch with the girls and she went, all 3 of the girls, they think you're going to propose to me because, it's Paris. And I'm thinking, first of all, I thought, I didn't know she had that many friends, you know what I mean, right? The second type thing as well was like, right, okay, so they all think we're going to, but what if she, because I weren't planning to, do you know what I mean? I weren't planning to, well, no, I wanted to, but I hadn't planned to. And I thought, well, I don't want her to be disappointed if we're walking around the Eiffel Tower or something, she's expecting me to go down on one knee and I'm not doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? That's going to be an anticlimax. But I just thought, I had to say to her, look, in case you're expecting it out there, I just didn't have that planned yet. Because I said that the last one I'd wanted her to do is come back and be upset. So I had to kind of tell her before. And she went, no, I know. All right. But honestly, since then, I was getting lots of pictures to my WhatsApp of engagement rings. Do you know what I mean? So I was getting little hints from this girl that she wanted to get engaged. But I'm making it out about her. Trust me, mate. I wanted to as well. I so wanted to marry this girl because she's just the best. She's just the best, right? And I so love that I can talk about her like this because years ago, if anyone would ask me, what's your girlfriend like? I'd have been, you know what, she's all right. She's good. She's fit. She's lovely. Well, that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is everything I just said. She's the kindest. She's someone that's been put on this planet for a reason because she is that amazing. Sorry, man, I'm probably going to get emotional talking about her. She's just the best. So anyway, I started to plan getting the ring, and in January this year, I went to jewelers. I got the ring. I went with her mate because her mate knows her style and stuff, and I wanted her opinion on it. And I got this ring, and she was gonna. my girlfriend was going to take me out as a surprise, and she'd booked this hotel in central London and a dinner. And I thought, I really want to surprise her. I really want to surprise her. I thought, I'll do it that night because she's not expecting it to be the night she's surprising me with like a treat. So I'd already bought. I'm such a romantic. I'm so soppy, right? I'm such a soppy mum. You know when you watch Disney films, yeah, and I used to cry like Bambi dying or something in the Disney films. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
used to try and suppress my emotions. Now I embrace it. Like if I ever cried, I'd be there pretending the wind was blowing in my eyes or something. Do you know what I mean? I've got a bit of dirt in it when really, because I couldn't admit when really now I love it, right? So I bought these LED kind of candles and these rose petals, and I said to the hotel when we were out for dinner, can you go into our room, set the candles up in like a heart shape, and put the petals inside the heart, right? Turn the lights off so when she comes in, she can see it lit up. And I was like, yeah, of course we will. And anyway, so we're coming back from dinner, and I'm recording like next to my leg, so she can't see I'm recording because I want to get her reaction.
Yeah.
We walked in, and she's seen it. She's like, "Oh my god, what's this? You're going to propose?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I mean, it's just to say thank you." Because what I'd planned wasn't over yet, and I bought her this. Do you ever remember them books where you used to flick through the pages and it was just images, and the images told you the story, like a little
Yeah.
flick? Yeah, so there's no words in it. So I've got her one of them. I went, this is also just a little thank you to say thank you for the night. So I've given her this book, and she's flicking through the pages. And as you're going through, the pictures are there's this couple that are walking this dog, and you can, as you flick through, they're walking, and then one of them's got a tennis ball. It throws the tennis ball, and he's flicking through. The dog's running after the tennis ball. It comes back. You think he's got a tennis ball in its mouth, and as you're flicking through the pages, the dog opens its mouth. Really, it's got an engagement ring box, and as she's flicking through, the box is opened up, right? And at that point, I've decided to go down on one knee, and I had this kind of speech semi-prepared in my mind, which is going to be like, since you've come into my life, you have no idea how amazing you are. I love you so much, and you're the best person, and blah, blah, blah. And I've got this one job to do for the rest of my life, and that's to make you happy. I was so emotional. I'll be honest, I wasn't nervous, funny enough, at this time, because I knew it was a yes. Do you know what I mean? But I was
Yeah.
still nervous, emotional, sorry. And what come out weren't that. What come out my mouth, I was like touching her leg, tapping her leg as I'm down on one knee. I'm going, look, you look, like, I really love you. Yeah, I really love you. And I've got a job, right? I've got a job. And she's looking at me like, what? I went, look, just will you marry me? Blah, blah, blah. And then she said yes, and we're so happy. And since then, it's just been amazing. Well, it's been amazing since I've met her, right? She's Greek Cypriot, right? We're planning to get married in Cyprus whenever that will be. I'm so fortunate to have her, but also her family, who have been the most welcoming, loveliest people ever. And what I really like is, I remember we went to a wedding in Cyprus, her cousin's wedding a couple of years ago, and I was dancing out there. And this is kind of what I want to end on. I like ending on her, and I know this has been a big part about her, but it's because I've got recovery, I've got her. But we was at her cousin's wedding, and I remember she's come up to me at one point, and she went, "I'm so proud of you." And she went, "I don't know how you're able to do this." I went, "What?" And she went, "Everyone's talking Greek around you." She went, "You're talking to everyone. You don't know this language. They're talking in English, but you're socializing with absolutely everyone." She went, "You're dancing." And she went, "And you've done all of this without a drink." She went, "I couldn't do this without a drink." And that's the funny part. And for me, in some respect, this kind of sums up addiction or whatever, or just our culture. We get nervous, we get scared, we get shy, we get fearful. We don't want to feel that. So we put a drink or a drug or anything on top of it to try and change the way we feel, rather than embracing it, right? And I know that's not what she done, but she was just making that point. And I remember going, well, first of all, like, thank you, that's amazing, but it's just fine. It's fine. What I'm getting at, years ago, I did have that feeling of, I can't dance. What's everyone going to think about me sober? What's everyone going to think? When I just do it and get through the fear, so what? So what if people look at people aren't realize most people aren't looking at you dance because they're worried about you looking at them dancing because they're scared, right, and fearful. No one cares, right? And I've realized, like, do I dance badly? Yes, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I'm not the world's best dancer, and I love it, right? I'm having a good time, other people having a good time. But for her to sit there and say, "I'm proud of you," when I'm sitting there thinking, "I think you're the most amazing person in the world, and I'm proud of you," that is what recovery has given me. And we are amazing, right? But I'm not going to pretend we don't have moments or something else. We have to have a conversation sometimes. I might have slipped up. I might have said something snappy. I might have done whatever with my family, with anyone. It's just about trying to put it right. Look, I'm not an angel, right? I can muck up all the time. I'm not going to be one of these people when I come into recovery and be like, "Yeah, life's just fantastic." It ain't. Some people lose their jobs, their houses, they get divorced. recovery gets me to clean and sober. Life still happens. But I'm able to deal with my emotions because of recovery. So I've gone on far longer than I intended to, Josh.
It's so right, Joe.
That's kind of where I am, and a bit of a backstory to me and where I am now. So yeah,
That's
I hope
amazing.
that was all right, mate.
Yeah, no, Joe, that was absolutely phenomenal. And I really appreciate you going into absolute depths of like what, recovery is to you, what your addiction was, where it led you, how it started off, with the fear as well, because it's something that I know that I suffered and sometimes still do suffer with myself, because I'm only 13 months clean and I'm still learning a lot about myself. And I'm sure a lot of listeners that are at home that maybe are early doors or they're wondering whether they should go into the journey of recovery. You've just put your story so beautifully for people to understand. And I was listening intently to what you were saying. And thank you so much for sharing about your partner as well. Really bigging her up. She sounds like a wonderful person. You've definitely found your soulmate. And she's been a real good support to you as well. And it's great what you were saying about relationships. Something that early on in recovery is maybe not suggested, to maybe concentrate on yourself for a long period of time, which, yeah, it's, your opinion, but I do see that a lot. And obviously anyone that's listening at home, for a male or a female, if you are thinking of getting into a relationship, definitely listen to what Joe's saying. Use that time to get to know you, use that time to get yourself into a place where, you start dealing with that stuff that you haven't dealt with before. So yeah, Joe, that was absolutely amazing, mate. I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you asking me. I mean, I just want to touch on there. So I just know that was right for me. That was right.
Yeah.
Everyone might be different, but I noticed many years ago, like I was talking about social media, right, and the phones and stuff like that. I remember watching TV, right, and I couldn't watch the TV. I put on a documentary or a film that I want to watch. 30 seconds later, I'm picking my phone up in the hand, scrolling through my phone. I'm like, right, because that's changing the way I feel. I'm being addictive on that. I put the phone back down, watch another minute, and then I'm picking the phone back up. I can't sit still, can't be present. That's why I've got rid of social media. For me, it was the same with relationships. If I ever felt bad, get with another girl, try and speak to someone because you'll make me feel better. It could be eating, it could be not eating. If you're going to the gym twice a day, I'm sitting there going, we all got ways to change the way we feel. So I was like, no, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to work. It weren't easy, man, but you know what I mean? But yeah, like you said,
of course.
everyone's story is different and that was just right for me. But yeah, so I just wanted to say, yeah, just my thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like you said, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everyone has their ways of doing things different, but it's a great way for something to maybe take, consider as well, which is great. So getting on to the lovely lady behind you, I can see on the poster, the good old Amy Winehouse. Been looking forward to speaking about obviously your role. So we do know you're the programs manager. So not just myself and obviously listeners want to know a bit about the Amy Winehouse Foundation. What is it about? What is it you guys do? Be great for you to share that if that's all right.
Yeah, no, thank you, mate. Well, I mean, we all know Amy Winehouse. She was just iconic, wasn't she? I mean, first of all, how talented was she? She was just like amazing, like once in a lifetime voice. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely amazing. But obviously, tragically, passed away. And her family. I remember her dad Mitch saying it. Said didn't want to bury their heads in the sand and pretend nothing's happened. It was like one of the first things they thought of was we want to try and help other people not go through what Amy kind of struggled with, and also help other family members as well not go through it. So I think very initially early on they said it felt so right to set up a charity to carry on Amy's legacy, to try and help other young people and families not go through what she and they went through. So yeah, we set up 13 years ago, and initially we started as like a grant giving organisation, and then I think the family was at that time speaking to a lot of people who were in recovery from addiction, and they felt that they was getting this kind of common patterns where people felt they didn't get maybe the right education at school, and they was thinking about setting up a project around I suppose looking at that really, maybe like a drug and alcohol prevention program, but not necessarily all just about, let's say this is a class A drug, that's a class B drug, not necessarily factual information, because the people they were speaking to was talking about people didn't really explain at school the reasons why the people drink and take drugs.
Yeah.
So they was looking at doing that really. So we've set up our resilience program, which initially I think piloted around about 2012, 2013, and we've been running full time since 2014. So yeah, over 10 years now. And that's where we have people who are in recovery, who have direct lived experience of addiction and sobriety, where volunteer and they'll go into go into schools and they'll talk to young people a bit about their lives. But what we focus on is the emotional well-being side of things. So I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, as a charity set up, that was one of our first projects. And then we set up something called Amy's Place, which is where young women in recovery who might need somewhere safe to live can apply to have a flat at Amy's Place, where they can really look to rebuild their lives, and they can look to eventually get into learning about maybe even budgeting, healthy eating, do some well-being stuff like counselling and some yoga, things like that. But so a lot of women have gone on to study at university, have families, and for the family, that's just so amazing to hear them stories because. As I've probably well documented now, Amy's always wanted to be a mum. And I think when the family have seen that there's these other young women's lives have been totally transformed, where they're able now to be mums, where a lot of them have said they never thought they was going to get that opportunity because of their addiction. You can imagine the family, it's obviously, first of all, it's very personally emotional for them because of that, as I just explained. But also, it's just amazing for them, and they're so them feelings are just great to see people transform their lives. So that's Amy's Place. I said that in our resilience program, which I'll touch on in a bit more, and then we also have recovery pathways where people that are struggling with addiction, we can try and help them find a pathway into recovery. And a lot of that is working with their drug and alcohol services in their area, because they should have the funding to provide people with that support, either be one-to-one, group work, maybe rehab funding. So people get in touch with us and we try and help them find a pathway into recovery. So they're kind of like our three, I suppose, core projects here. But we also have some projects in St. Lucia where we help young, and the Caribbean, where we help young people with, I suppose, learning some sort of life skills who might be going, I don't want to say going off the rails, but understand what I mean by that. People just struggling, have certain issues in their lives that we try and help people with some sort of music projects. We also still fund some projects here, make donations to a couple of charities which we know would have been close to Amy's heart. So we help fund maybe some music rooms or some music therapy teachers who do some work around children who might have some sort of life-limiting conditions, maybe such as cerebral palsy and things like that. So we still do fund a couple of projects that we know would have been really, really close to Amy's heart. So basically, we're a charity and we just want to help as many young people as we can. To summarize, really, Josh, that's what we want to try and do.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And obviously, like you said, from probably a lot of people that are listening as well, maybe people that are absolute fanatics for Amy Winehouse, me being one of them, being able to see her story of what she went through, through her addiction as well. And she went through hell and back. And you also saw the amazing talent that she had as well, with her music, and how much of an impact her music made to a lot of people and a lot of people's lives. And even going onto your website, and obviously we'll get onto that later on, but seeing the videos of some of the ladies that have been on there that got interviewed, and I think one of them was sitting in the music room and they were showing the music room in there, and how music can be such a great way for somebody to, to be in and get involved in, which really has helped that lady that I was watching. It's more of like a therapeutic thing for them. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, that there is lots of different other ways that help people in their recovery. Less it be some form of a 12-step program, less it be, these other forums that you can get involved in. I think it's absolutely amazing. Everything out there to do with recovery, I love it. Whatever works for you, if it's involving recovery in your life because you're stuck in addiction and it's working for you, go for it. So with this Amy Winehouse Foundation then, so getting on to more about your role, Joe. So you were saying earlier on that you do go into schools, you do some stuff, and I've seen some of the posts that have come on LinkedIn of of you doing some talks in school. So can you kind of touch on a little bit more on that for me and what you do with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our resilience program. So yeah, I manage our resilience program and our recovery pathways one. The resilience program is our schools-based project and community-based project. So we will generally see 11 to 18-year-olds in schools, but in the community, sometimes we kind of go up to see like 20 up to 25-year-olds. And what we're trying to do is not, I wouldn't say like definitely go in there and say, I want to stop people drinking and taking drugs. No, not necessarily. Of course, I don't want young people to use that as a coping strategy. But what I want to do is try and hear them. We want to try and hear what their concerns are, hear what their fears are, and try and give them some well-being coping strategies and some signposting so they know where to go and get help if they need it. So initially we'll go in and do like a live share, kind of, I suppose, a little example, but tailored differently, like I've done earlier, but tailored differently to the age group. And obviously, as you heard there, I mean, I know I was speaking a bit about recovery, but I was trying to give you, without you knowing, a bit of a mix, really, of a blend of an emotional well-being of kind of what we do to young people. Because if we just go in there and focus on the drink and drugs, we're missing the point of why we set up in the first place to look at why do people drink and take drugs.
That's right.
It's exactly, we want to talk about peer pressure, we talk about self-esteem, we want to talk about risky behaviours. Like I said, the fear, what do people think? So our volunteers and staff will deliver their life shares, focusing on the emotional well-being side of it. So it will be like a typical, I suppose, if we say 12-step share in a sense of the chronological stuff, what life was like, what happened, what it's like now, but more focusing on the emotional stuff. And then we run like little Q&As where the young people can ask us whatever they want. And then we'll do some signposting to loads of different organisations who not just specifically help with drugs and alcohol, could be with anything. Could have a young carer in the room, could have someone struggling with eating disorders. So we'll signpost to a lot of different national organisations and local ones as well. But then we return for workshops, and the workshops focus a bit more on the young people then, or a lot more on the young people. It's more about what are their pressures, what are their insecurities. Like we say, you don't have to be personal, but general. What are young people's concerns or worries? What is it you think they struggle with? And to be honest with you, Josh, I think a lot of them would be stuff that we struggled with, or other people have already struggled with. But it might come out in different formats now. So as I said, I'm not worried back in school about what do people think about me. I went home, right, and had a safe haven. There was no social media. There was no Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was you want to go on the internet, you're dialing up on the old school telephone. Do you know what I mean? It was that. So
Takes
I had
ages.
even like it was nice. Now, if young people are more concerned about what do people think about, I think they put so much exposure of themselves out there online. Photos, what do they look like? Like I said, if you don't get enough likes, you feel insecure. They kind of have got access to everything now, which in some respects is amazing and got the opportunity, but then it also brings its own challenges. So they will talk about certain challenges around that. It could be body image, it could be worried about their futures, their grades, and then we work with them on those, hear them out, have a little debate with their class, share their experiences, and then we will work with them on some sort of coping strategies, like general well-being coping strategies, whether that be meditation, whether it be music, like you said. I mean, you just listen to certain lyrics and you can just connect, can't you? I mean, I listen to Amy's songs and you hear some of the lyrics and you're like, oh my God, this amazing woman knows how I feel. It's like she's talking to you, isn't it, personally?
Yeah.
Artists, you hear them and you're like, that's exactly how I feel. You can connect, you can relate. They could be talking to someone. One, asking how their day is, but two, talking about your day. Stuff that might just feel so natural now that I don't even feel like I'm using a coping strategy. It's just like you've got your toolbox and you're just dipping into it every now and then, or all the time using different tools. So that's kind of our resilience program. So in a bit of a nutshell, really.
Yeah. And that's amazing, though, that how you, to kind of reiterate what you said before, it's all right saying, let's talk, to the kids or to whoever you're speaking to, and like, let's just talk about the drink and the alcohol. It's like, but no, we need to really speak about what you said. Obviously, this fear, where has it come from? How has it started? And everybody's story is different, but unfortunately, like you said, nowadays, there's this pressure on a lot of people. You have to be a certain thing. You got to be a certain somebody, the likes and all of that. I'm guilty of it. I do social media and I'm like, oh, why have I not got any much likes? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Social media's taken over the world at the moment. And like you said, it's amazing because it's having a massive impact to being able to get a message out there, which is what, I'm trying to do with doing this and obviously doing stuff on TikTok and other social media platforms. But also, it can, have a negative effect as well with this image that you've got to have. And that's just, a sad way. But I really, really do take my hat off to you for being able to go in there and speak to these young people about that, because that's what they need. That is
Honestly,
what.
I mean, just what we think. I mean, you're spot on. I think for me, what we do now in emotional well-being way absolutely complements other ways, which is learning about alcohol and drugs and the specific and the factual stuff and the law, the legality side
Yeah,
of it. I think both are needed and they go hand in hand. So where we
yeah,
can do this, schools and other organisations can do the other side of it. Because for some people that way will work, and for other people this way will work. And I just think they complement each other really well. So we're not trying to replace anything, more just enhance people's lives, really. And
yeah,
as you say, I think for me, the feelings have just come in different formats now. Right? It'll be with a phone, it'll be with a technology thing. I mean, if you look at addiction, I mean, my God, how many people could leave their phones at home for 1 week, not turn it on, not go on social media, and genuinely be happy with it, not worry about it? I'm not sure many could. I'm not sure
no,
many could because it's so addictive. It's so addictive. For me, phones are one of the most amazing inventions we've ever had in the world because they can connect me to anyone all over the world. My sister was in
yeah,
Australia. I can FaceTime her, get her like that. But it's the most weirdest invention in the world because they disconnect me from someone sitting in front of me. Do you know what I mean? It's like that way as
yeah.
well. It's like, like you said, it's a great tool. I just want to make sure I'm using it rather than it's using me. And it's that way round for me. I try and do it. But yeah, it's we could go into so many different areas of subjects and we could solve the world here, Josh, couldn't we? Yeah.
Definitely, mate. Honestly, 100%. But no, what you were saying about the Amy Winehouse Foundation, it's an absolutely amazing organisation. To be able to get the message out there, to give a better understanding towards the young people, towards the ladies that are, in them houses, giving them support, and just doing what you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal. And I love places like that. I was in some form of a treatment center myself, and they've done amazing work. And they do amazing stuff. So, lest it be that, let's say the legacy is going to live on for Amy Winehouse, 100%.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
and if she's up there right now, looking down, I bet she's absolutely beaming with the amazing stuff that all of you guys are doing. Because she is a wonderful woman. And I know, like you said, that this is what she's wanted. So you guys are carrying on the legacy for her, which is absolutely phenomenal. So just to wrap it up, Joe, so in regards to what sort of advice would you give to somebody that's listening right now at home that is maybe stuck in addiction still, or maybe is considering about getting help, or there's a family member that's at home and they're like, I do not know what to do with my son, my daughter, my nephew, my niece. What sort of advice would you give them, Joe?
You know what? That's a great question. I mean, for family members, it's so tough. Right? I'll be honest with you, it's so tough. Look, obviously, I'm an addict, clean, sober, in recovery, and it's about us. But then we, at times, sometimes forget how much the family are impacted. And to be honest with you, I think sometimes they go through it worse because they see everything. We forget a lot of stuff. They see it all, and they are actually helpless and powerless. And you can't make someone stop drinking and taking drugs, can you? The only thing I would say, my suggestion would be reach out to try and get some support for yourself. That's really important because they are going to need to try and find the best way they can to cope. And that could be through a local drug and alcohol service, support for family. I know there's 12-step meetings for family members as well. There's loads of different organisations that work with family members. It's the most hardest thing to say because I think sometimes it does feel helpless, but when I say like you can't really do anything, you can plant seeds, right, with the person who's struggling. You can maybe let them know about different recovery options for that individual.
Yeah,
But it's so you cannot force them, and that can be really, really difficult to, I suppose, comprehend or accept. Probably accept because you just want to. It's your loved one. How can you just let
yeah,
go? So I know it's not easy. So I just want to acknowledge it's not easy, but that would be my recommendation: getting support for yourself, but also planting seeds with the individual. For the person who might be struggling, again, it's so easy me saying don't care what people think or don't care about this, don't care about because I've been, I'm not there no more. But when I was there, what did I need to hear? I suppose I probably needed to hear other people that had gone through what I went through and was out the other side of it. So I would suggest to that person, look, first of all, you're probably going to be sitting there thinking you're on your own, thinking no one understands you, no one gets me, no one understands me, no one's been through what I went through. When I started going to these meetings and I found hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people who'd been through what I went through, Do you know what I mean? It's sitting there going, well, actually, I'm not the only one. All these people here, and they're clean, they're sober, multiple years. So I would suggest to someone reaching out for help, whether that be a 12-step meeting, whether that be another recovery option, whether it be your drug and alcohol service. Just try and have that bit between your teeth where you can go, right, I've got this. It's the most toughest thing to do sometimes, reaching out for help initially, asking that first initial thing. But it's the most rewarding thing and really, really brave and courageous. So I'd say to people, reach out for help, Google it, look for help. I don't always like mentioning the specific 12-step meeting organisations, but you can find them, and I'll say they have got the A at the end of their name for anonymous. That's the best way to find them. Google that, and then you'll see a lot of them coming up. That for me transformed my life, so much so now that when I say to people, like, I hope this is what I kind of want to summarise with people hearing, I really want them to know that I find the best message is to say to sometimes people, like, I'm struggling, but I don't want to drink, I don't want to take a drug. Rather than sometimes hearing the most amazing story ever and you feel like, oh, I'll never get there. I can still relate sometimes more to people that are going, I'm struggling, I feel stressed, I feel like this, I feel like that, but I ain't drinking, taking drugs. Because I've got to realise, just I said to you at the beginning, I've got first world problems, right? But I could easily sit here and feel sorry for myself that me and my missus got saved for a wedding, trying to save to buy a house. Obviously, you still want to try and have a holiday as well once a year or something. Like all this money, right? First of all, that's first world problems, right? How lucky that I can be in that position. Many years ago, I didn't have money to go and buy something to eat. Do you know what I mean? I was in debt, all that stuff. Now I'm in this position. So I've got to, be grateful and realise, my God, my life's blooming amazing. How fortunate am I? But yeah, I can still feel stressed. Do I want to drink and take a drug? Never. It ain't even an option. Ain't even an option. So when I heard people either like me or like you or like other people that was further along, multiple years, but sometimes I can still feel stressed, but I don't want to drink, take a drug. I'm like, oh my God, you're the one I want to speak to. So yeah, I'd say to that individual, reach out for help. It's the best thing you can do. It really is.
Awesome, Joe. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And Joe, where can the guys find you? Obviously the Amy Winehouse Foundation. How can they reach out to you guys there if there's anybody that's near there? But where would they need to go?
Absolutely. So if you can go onto our website, amywinehousefoundation.org, you'll see all of our different projects on there, whether it be you might be interested in volunteering. We have some volunteering options in London, Manchester, maybe like Sheffield kind of way as well, Horton towards Liverpool sort of way. So if anyone's interested in our resilience program, you can go on our website there. There'll be a contact form for that. If anyone is looking for some sort of support regarding our other projects, there's a contact form on those specific pages as well. So yeah, amywinehousefoundation.org, and get in touch with us. And if we can't help, we'll help you. We'll point you in the direction of the ones that can. Yeah.
That's awesome, Joe. Joe, thank you so much for today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really do appreciate you getting honest, getting vulnerable, sharing your story. It's been such a beautiful story, and it's been really inspiring. You've encouraged me, and I'm sure you've encouraged a lot of other listeners on here today. And thank you, Amy Winehouse Foundation, as well, for allowing you to come on and just share the amazing work that you guys are doing, and the legacy that you're carrying on for her is absolutely phenomenal. So, Joe, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. Cheers.